next sources of influence. Let's take on another problem. Go to a whole different domain. State of Washington put in brand new high occupancy vehicle lanes, right? Lanes that you can only go in if you have how many people in your car? 2 or more. Let's read the sign. Good. So you can only use those lanes if you have 2 or more people. The problem was that within just a couple of weeks after announcing the new lanes, they found that at least 1 in 5 cars were cheaters. People with how many in the car? Just 1. So the question for them as influencers was, how would you change that behavior? You and I tend to lean on coercive sources. We tend to say more cops, right? Public executions, bigger fines, That's the way to do this. Well, they didn't have the money or the political power to pull something like that off. So they came up with a modest little intervention. And embedded in it is a powerful lesson that, in spite of the brief time we'll focus on it, I hope you'll extrapolate on it, reflect on it, and carry it home. What was the intervention? They wrote 3 letters. Just wrote 3 letters and then posted a sign. The sign said, report HOV lane violations by dialing 921 HERO. You gotta love it, don't you? Yeah. I mean, there's a whole discussion we could have about that, but let's look at the driver perspective. So here's what happened. I'm driving on the freeway. I've got 3 people in my car, but you're up ahead of me with only 1. So I call this number and I report your license plate. They figure out your address and they mail you letter number 1. Letter number 1 is accompanied by what they call an educational brochure. And the essence of the letter is, one of your fellow Washingtonians hates you. Now, it doesn't say that, but you and I know how it would feel. The letter says essentially somebody spotted you in the HOV lane. You had only 1 in the car. Apparently, you don't know how to read. So here's a brochure to educate you about. And that was all it was. There was no threat. There was no fine. There was nothing else, just a letter. Now, if people reported a second time, they got a second letter, this time from the Department of Transportation, the third time from the State Patrol. But again, never with a fine, never with a threat, only a reminder that somebody saw you. Now, let's break this down, because it worked. It worked. The number of lane violators dropped by 80% in a matter of weeks. So what's going on here? Well, the first time I'm driving along, right, and I look over there, and that lane is going so fast, and I think that would be so fun, right? So I move over there, and I'm moving along at 10 miles an hour faster, and my life is good. But then I get this letter in the mail, right? Now, the next time I'm on the freeway and I'm looking over there, guess what new thought is in my mind? Yeah, they're watching me. I've reframed this from an economic or a strategic decision to what? To a social one. To a social one. People don't like me when I do this, and those are the people right there. So, what happens? Behavior shifts. Now, if you look at the 6 sources of influence, you notice 3 and 4 talk about social motivation and social ability. You have to learn to employ these. In a business context, we do the worst thing in the world. We take people out of their social setting, out of their team, away from their boss, drop them into a training experience, give them lots of great ideas, and then put them right back into the same social system. Guess what happens? Yeah, they don't use anything.